An island so dangerous that the country which owns it has made it a crime to set foot on. Not a rule, a crime. It sits in clear blue water off one of the most famous coastlines in South America, and no one is allowed to go there, not tourists, not fishermen, not the merely curious. The navy of an entire nation turns boats away from it. And the strangest part is why. Because the thing that makes this one of the most forbidden places on the planet is not a bomb, or a buried secret, or a disease. It is alive. There are thousands of them, and they exist nowhere else in the entire world. On this island, by some estimates, there is roughly one venomous snake for every square meter of ground. Between 2,000 and 4,000 of them packed onto a patch of forest smaller than a few city blocks. They live in the branches, at head height, the exact color of dry leaves. Their venom can kill a human being in under an hour, and there is an old story here, the kind that gets told in the fishing towns on the coast, about a man who once landed on the island looking for bananas, and was found days later, drifting in his boat, dead, with the marks of the island all over him. Now, that particular story is almost certainly a legend, but it survives for a reason, because the truth about this island is even stranger than the stories. These snakes are not supposed to be here. Nothing made them, no one brought them. This island built them. It manufactured, over thousands of years, one of the deadliest creatures on Earth, out of nothing but isolation and time. And by the end of this video, I'm going to tell you the one fact about this place that turns the whole story on its head. Because the deadliest island in the world is also quietly dying. This is Ilha da Queimada Grande, off the coast of Brazil, and everybody just calls it Snake Island. The name itself tells you how badly people once misjudged this place. Queimada Grande means, roughly, the big burn. Because long ago, someone looked at that green forested island and saw not a death trap but an opportunity, and tried to burn the trees off it to clear the land for a banana plantation. It did not go well. The plantation was abandoned. The forest grew back. And the island kept its real tenants, the ones that had been there long before any human arrived, and would be there long after they fled. To understand them, you have to go back about 11,000 years, to the end of the last ice age. Back then, this was not an island at all. It was a hill, connected to the mainland of Brazil, with ordinary snakes living on it, the same species you would find on the coast. But as the ice age ended, the seas rose all over the world. The water climbed, and eventually it flooded the low ground and cut this hilltop off from the continent. And the snakes on top of it were trapped. A population of ordinary vipers, marooned on a shrinking island with the sea on every side. And that is where something remarkable began to happen. Because on the mainland, those snakes had eaten rats and lizards and small mammals on the ground. But on this new island, there were almost no ground animals left to hunt. Cut off from the continent, the island slowly ran out of prey, except for one source of food that could still reach it, and that arrived, in fact, in enormous numbers: birds. Migratory birds, crossing the ocean, using this green speck as a place to rest their wings. But a bird is not a rat. If a snake on the ground bites a mouse, the mouse runs a few feet and dies, and the snake simply follows the scent and eats it. But if a snake bites a bird, the bird does the one thing a mouse cannot. It flies away. It lifts off into the sky and dies somewhere out over the water, or deep in the forest, gone forever, taking the snake's only meal with it. So the snakes of this island were pushed, generation after generation, toward a single brutal solution. They needed a venom so fast, so overwhelmingly powerful, that a bird would drop before it could get airborne. And over thousands of years, that is exactly what evolved. The golden lancehead, the snake that lives only here, developed venom estimated at 3 to 5 times more potent than its cousins back on the mainland. A venom refined by the island itself for one specific impossible task: killing something with wings before it can use them. Think about that. This place took an ordinary snake, sealed it in a jar of ocean for 11,000 years, and turned it into one of the most efficient killers in the natural world. The island built its own monster, and it hid it in plain sight too. The golden lancehead is a pale, buttery yellow, the exact shade of the dead leaves and dappled sunlight of the island's canopy, so that even standing right in front of one, you might never see it. The young snakes, before they are big enough to take birds, hunt lizards on the ground. But once they grow, they climb, and they wait in the branches at head height for the sky to deliver dinner. And I have to ask, because this one got me. Did you see that twist coming? That the island created the snake, not the other way around? Tell me in the comments if your mind is a little bit blown right now, or if you were already 10 steps ahead of me. because here is the part most people never think about. Human beings actually tried to live here. In 1909, the Brazilian Navy built a lighthouse on Snake Island to warn ships away from its rocks. And a lighthouse in those days needed keepers. So men came to live on the most venomous island on Earth, and not just men. They brought their families. There were keepers' wives and keepers' children living on this island, going to sleep every night on a rock, crawling with thousands of the deadliest vipers in the Americas. Try to picture raising your kids there, watching where they step, counting them at night. They kept that light burning for years, until the 1920s, when the lighthouse was finally automated, and the machines took over, and the last family packed up and left. And no one has legally lived on Snake Island since. But the keepers left behind a story, and it is the story everyone tells about this place. They say that the very last keeper and his whole family died on the island one terrible night, when snakes found their way in through the windows of the lighthouse, and the family ran for their boat in the dark, and were bitten one by one on the way down to the water. Nobody can prove it ever happened. It may be pure invention, but it is the reason the name of this island is spoken the way it is. So here's a question I genuinely can't answer for myself. Imagine you were offered good money to take that lighthouse keeper job, back before it was automated. A steady wage, a home, a purpose, on the most dangerous island on the planet. Would you have taken it, or is there no amount of money on Earth that gets you onto that boat? Tell me honestly in the comments where your line is. And if you find yourself as pulled in by these forgotten, impossible places as I am, take a second to subscribe, because there are a lot more of them coming. Because there is still that one fact I promised you, the fact that flips this entire story around. For 100 years, we have talked about Snake Island as a place that is forbidden in order to protect people from the snakes. The Navy patrols it. The landing ban is absolute. And the natural assumption is that all of that exists to keep us safe from them. It's the other way around. The golden lancehead, the snake that exists on this one island and nowhere else in the universe, is critically endangered. Its entire world is 43 hectares of forest. That is its whole range. There is no backup population, no second island, nowhere else on Earth it survives. And its numbers have been falling, because a snake this rare, this unique, is worth a fortune to the wrong people. Collectors on the black market have been documented offering as much as $30,000 for a single living golden lancehead. And so poachers do try to raid the island, to steal the very thing that makes it so feared. So the ban, the Navy, the absolute refusal to let anyone land, it is not really there to keep people out because the island is dangerous to us. It is there to keep people out because we are dangerous to the island. The most forbidden island on Earth is not a prison, it's a sanctuary. A last, fragile refuge for a creature that could blink out of existence entirely, and take 11,000 years of evolution with it. And there's a final turn, one I love. The only people allowed to set foot there now are scientists, who go ashore under federal permit, carefully, with a doctor waiting in the boat. And what they are studying, in that terrible venom, might just save lives. Because compounds from lancehead venom have already been turned into real medicines, drugs that manage blood pressure and blood clotting for people all over the world. The monster the island built may end up healing more of us than it could ever harm. Which leaves one open question, and I'd love to hear what you actually think. When a place like this exists, a rock that is at once the deadliest island on Earth and the last home of a vanishing species, what should we even do with it? Keep studying it for the medicine it might give us? Guard it and never touch it again? I've got my own answer, but I genuinely want to hear yours below. Sometimes the smallest places hold the biggest stories. This one green island, close enough to see from a sunny Brazilian beach, spent 11,000 years alone, quietly building one of the most dangerous animals that has ever existed, for the simple reason that its dinner had wings. It drove out the people who tried to tame it, and kept only its legends. And now the very thing that makes it the most forbidden place on the planet is the thing we are racing to protect, because it is slipping away, and when it is gone everywhere. A paradise you cannot enter. A monster the island made itself, and a sanctuary disguised as the most dangerous place on Earth. If you've ever heard of Snake Island, or the Golden Lancehead, let me know in the comments, and let me know where I should go next. See you in the next one.